Hey folks, Tom here. I hope we have the audio a little bit better today. I think we do. Welcome back. It is Thursday. I only know that again because I just did the yoga class at 6 and I had to check what day it was. So it's Thursday. Hope everybody is doing well and healthy and staying inside and staying with their immediate family in the house they're at. Getting out when you can. Right? So get out for walks. Hopefully you're doing this with me. This keeps me sane again. I'm here. I am by myself. And that's okay because that's why we have the place so we can keep things rolling and keep everybody connected. So quick reminder, we are going to do a CSAlive just group chat on Zoom Sunday night. I haven't set the exact time yet. I will put up a event listing, in the Facebook page, so in the next day or so. So look for that, and hopefully we can all connect and see each other on Sunday nights. All right, so we had a good class on Tuesday. I'm going to do some more cool stuff today. I just put a video up as well, but in case you didn't catch that, I'm starting to upload what I'm calling quick cuts, right? So I'm taking these these classes that we're doing and pulling out 5, 6, 10-minute sections, right, as appropriate, and I'm going to put them into separate videos. That way you don't have to walk through the whole hour to try to find that one little thing that you wanted to practice again. I'll probably do that with our footwork drills as well because we've got quite a bit now that we're kind of stacking up. So I will start to layer them together. So if you want to have a footwork day, you can do all footwork for an hour and run those videos. So I'm going to try to do that. Maybe we'll even do that one of these days. Who knows? All right. We are going to start the class off with conditioning like we always do. The first half will be all footwork conditioning, cuts, body movement. The second half will be about lessons and kind of new techniques and new things to talk through and do at home. Today we're going to focus on shoulder guard, new cut from the shoulder, and then cuts from the shoulder guard, right? Direct cuts, rotational cuts, kind of what I call throwing cuts because my arm is coming out for those attacks. So we'll go through that for the second half of class as well. As always, if you have an idea or you have something you want to hear and talk about, message me and I will incorporate it into probably the next class. All right, so I'm going to pull this away a little bit. We're going to do 20 jumping jacks and then 20 push-ups, 40 sit-ups. So again, if you're doing the push-up challenge that we put out there, 50 push-ups in 30 days, you can do it. I know you can do it, right? I think today's only like 12 or 15 or so, but you're going to do 20. You're going to do another 20 in the middle of class. So you're going to be doing at least 40 today and get your body used to it. So you can do it. All right, so jumping jacks, 20, your pace, and go. All right, sorry if the mic kind of picked up every single step there. I kind of had a feeling it did. Seeing the bars going across. Okay, so when you're ready, 20 push-ups, knuckles or flat hands, totally up to you. You want to do wide grip, you want to do diamonds, you want to do inverteds, go for it, right? Push yourself every time you do this. Even if it's that, just one more push-up, push yourself, right? All right, so 20 push-ups, your pace. Ready? Go. And again, sorry if you're hearing me breathe here as I do this. When you're doing push-ups, right, don't cheat yourself. And that goes for every technique we do. Don't cheat because you're just hurting yourself, right? I'd rather you do fewer with proper form than try to bang out as many as you can and your form sucks for half of them. I don't care if you're doing cuts, footworks, push-ups, sit-ups, doesn't matter. Do the number you can do that you can do with the proper form. And I can't say that enough, right? One of the most important things is make sure you maintain proper form in anything that you do. When you're doing push-ups, and I'm guilty of shortcutting them sometimes without realizing it, you want to bring your arm down, start at a full extension, go down to where your upper arm is parallel to your body. Your nose doesn't have to touch the ground. That's you're not trying to get overextension parallel to the body and push all the way up. And again, there's so many variations of push-ups you can do. There's no shortage of opportunities. Let me take the mic off there. Sit-ups, 40 sit-ups. Your pace, your style. Again, you want to do crunches, you want to do static sit-ups, you want to do obliques, great. Just don't go all the way down to the floor and don't come all the way up to your knees like I say every week. Okay, that is not the correct push-up form. Ready? 40. I'm going to do these today. It's almost like a row. I have no idea how many I've just done. So I'm going to call that maybe 20 right now. Sorry for those that just did the longsword yoga and did all that core exercises. We're suffering together. If you didn't do the longsword yoga, do it. Come join me on Tuesday and watch the video to get yourself involved in what's happening. No clue on the count. Do 5 more. Good. All right. Awesome. Give everyone a chance to get up. So, like we do every week, we're going to do footwork. The way I want to structure it going forward is Tuesdays we're going to do our stepping, our pulling steps. Right? Thursdays I want to do our pushing steps. So just to recap that, right foot forward, left foot back. Nice stance. We never talk about weight distribution. Pause. Tangent again, right? Weight distribution for fighting. I like to start everyone off with pretty simple equal weight distribution. Easy, right? If I put too much weight on my front foot, in order for me to go forward, I've got to shift weight off, step in, right? So why am I going to have to do 2 steps when I can just do 1, right? If I have too much weight behind me on my rear leg, same thing. If I need to retreat, I've got to shift weight off and then retreat. So it's a 2-step process. So yes, sorry. Is there a time to have your weight forward? Yes, if I'm doing a lunge, I want my weight forward because I'm trying to reach out, right? I also want to be able to use my back leg to pull myself back into position, right? So there are certainly going to be times when you're going to be more weight to the front or more weight to the back, right? But if you start that way, every time you move, you've got to add an extra step, and that's just inefficient, right? So be efficient, equal weight distribution, right, front and back leg. You can move nice and easy. I don't want you up on your toes, and hopefully you can see this. Being on the ball of the feet, cool. My heel's a little bit off the ground right now, enough where I can propel myself forward from the center of my leg, right? Yes, I might want to push myself forward from my heel, right? That's a nice strong lunge because I'm making a solid connection from my leg down through the heel into the ground, right? I don't ever want to do a lunge like this, and hopefully you're seeing that in the side view mirror and you're seeing it in the front there with my up on my toes, because you get nothing. You get no extra reach. All you do is put yourself out of balance. And you put a lot of weight on your front leg, which what happens again? Now to move backwards, I've got to jump back, which gives me less control, right? We'll talk about that in a minute. Or I've got to reposition my foot and now retreat back. So equal weight distribution to start off with, knowing that you will go forward and back as you need to, but don't favor one or the other when you start off. Cool. Footwork. Right foot forward, left foot back. Single advance, pushing step. Single retreat, pushing step. That means my rear leg from the direction I'm traveling is what propels me forward. So I'm pushing myself into this position as opposed to pulling myself into the position. Difference there again, we only did that once last week, right? Sometimes I need to go forward, right? I need to go forward for a lunge. I need to go forward for an attack. Cool. The only thing you have to realize to make it, and I always try to say this, right? Your movements have to be intentional. You have to have intentional movements. What does that mean? That means that I know what's going to happen when I do my movement. If I do a pushing step, I'm not changing direction until I land. Right? I can't change direction mid-flight. Also one of the dangers of a flesh, that throwing yourself forward. Anything where you take your momentum and you let it go into a direction that you can't control. I'm not saying it's not going to win a point or save your life or make you run, I'm not saying it's not going to work. But what I'm saying is realize you can't do anything else until you finish that technique or that movement. If I'm stepping forward into my position and I want to change movements halfway through the move and I want to step forward, but they're coming, so I want to shift back and go backwards, I can do that. I can step, and instead of pulling myself fully into the position, I can step, I can retreat and change momentum. I can step back, I want to go forward again. I can change that mid-action. The pushing steps, I can't until I stop because I can't control gravity yet, and I can't force myself to fly backwards or forwards, right? Yet. We'll get there one day. So there's a, what do you best say it, an inherent attribute, I'm trying to be positive, right, of the pushing step is that you can't change direction until you land. Not saying don't do it, I'm saying do it when you know what the implications of the movement will be. Right? Cool. Hopefully you get that distinction, right? All right, right foot forward. Pushing steps. Advancing up, retreating back. 10. Ready? Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Switch your feet. Pushing steps. I keep my hands up, it's good habit, right? If I'm gonna put my hand, look what happens when I put my hands on, everything relaxes. Not a bad thing to be relaxed, but everything relaxes, right? I want to be ready to move. So my hands are up because now there's less distance to travel. If I need to punch something or move something or grab something or stop something from hitting me, my hands are down at my side, I've got to raise them up first. If I start mid-waist, I'm halfway there already, right? And I kind of have the movement to go whatever direction I need to go to do whatever I need to do. So there's always a method, right? If you're curious why I'm standing a certain way, ask me and I'll tell you. I always got an answer, right? You might not agree with it, but at least I'll give you an answer. All right. Left foot forward, right foot back, pushing steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. All right, 2 steps, so double advance, double retreat. With the pushing step, right, you're bouncing, right, you're jumping, boom, boom, right, you're leaping. Italians call it a balestra, boom. I'm moving and I'm making an action, right? That action could be to distract my opponent. I could do it short. I could do 2 longer ones, right? It really depends on, again, what's your intention? What do you want to see come out of this? Do I want to see what my opponent's going to do? Maybe they sit there and go, yeah, I'm not going to be scared of that. Or maybe they go, huh. Maybe they take a step back. Maybe they're, I'm starting to learn about my opponent, right? So even little things like footwork and these advances and retreats can help you start to understand your opponent, right? Now, am I going to throw a balestra when I'm in measure with my opponent? When I'm in close measure? Probably not, because there's no benefit for that. Now, I might do something to make him or her look down or distract them. Sure. I want to be out of measure, though, so I'm safe and I'm learning at the same time. So, double advance, pushing step forward, double retreat. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10. If it wasn't as easy for you as you thought, good. I don't do them that much sometimes, so that's like, oh, that's interesting. And I'm already breathing heavy, and we're only 15 minutes into the class. All right, left foot forward, right foot back. Same thing, double advance, pushing steps, double hop forward, double retreat back. 1, 2, whoo, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wow, that's a lot. Whew. All right, let me get my saber. Okay, let's do our cut form. Natural pose. 8 cuts up, our turn. 7 cuts back with a thrust at the end. 16 total actions. We're going to do them all. Always do them at the shoulder. We're going to do them from the, let's do it from the wrist today. So, everything from the wrist today. So, natural pose. That wrist means everything's out in front of you the entire time. Okay. So, natural. Feet shoulder width apart, one hand. Front of you. 1. Wrist cuts automatically mean half cuts. 2. Horizontal. 3. 4. Upward. 5. 6. 7. Now here, give yourself a little 8. Turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Lunge. Let's do that again. A little bit slower this time. Feet shoulder width apart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, use the mechanical properties of your weapon to your advantage. Right? If you noticed, my front hand doesn't really move much during these cuts. My body moves. My backhand does all the directional movements. My backhand, it's a lever. We've talked about this. This is the fulcrum. My backhand does them. Don't try to push your front hand to make these moves. It's not going to work for you, right? All right, actually try it. You'll see that it won't work, and then you can see find the way to do it with your wrists. So, cool. Let's do it one more time. Wrist cuts. Relaxed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good. As you're doing it, remember, foot alignment, toes pointing to your opponent, knees over your foot, right? Wherever you want to cut, that's where your toes point. Contrary, wherever your toes point is where you're going to cut. Watch the footwork video that I did. I'll talk about the funny YouTube video. I gotta find that link again. Anyway, your toes direct where your sword moves, right? So, cool. All right. Our cut drills. So today, we've been doing a lot of different cuts. Actually, on Tuesday, we did a really complex high block, counter cut, low block, high block, counter attack, right? I liked that. I wanted to continue on that same vein today of a defense counter attack movement. So where normally we would be in middle guard, step forward to cut, step back and cut, step forward to cut, step back and cut, whatever those movements were. Today we're going to step back with a block, forward with a counter attack. Back with a block, forward with a counter attack. So what we're going to do is we're going to do inside middle block. So step back inside middle block, step forward, attack. And I want you to throw that attack from the elbow. Step forward inside middle block, step back, back block, forward cut. Back, cut, back, cut. All right, so we're going to do that 10 times. Right foot forward, left foot back, middle guard. Ready? Back, 1. Back, 2. Back, 3. Back, 4. Back, 5. Back, 6. Back, 7. Back, 8. Back, 9. Back, 10. Good. Switch feet. Left foot forward, right foot back. Middle guard. We're going to step back with our left foot. Another inside middle block, this time on the opposite side of our body. Stepping forward, counterattack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Awesome. Before we do the 2 defense, 1 forward, I want to talk about blocks for a second. Right? Yes, we have if you haven't watched the basic defense fundamentals video, please take a look. Right? But I'm going to cover a few of those things now. So, inside middle block, outside middle block, or blocks in general, defense in general. And I'm talking really about, we're going to start right from the beginning, a static block. Right? I'm in middle guard. Step back. Well, so opponent is cutting at me, cutting at my head. They're trying to attack my head. First thing I'm going to do is retreat back. I'm going to roll my footwork back into a passing step behind. What happens when I do that? Hopefully you can see it in the side view there. My head moves from here, which is just shy of the line, to here. My entire torso backs up about 12 to 18 inches. Right? So immediately, even if they're going for the deep part cut they can, so a torso hit, as long as they're not so close that they're hitting me with the strong of their blade, and if they're hitting me with the strong of their blade, they're this close already, right? So they're way too close. You can do things you don't have to, you won't get in that situation if your opponent is that close. So they're in measure where their stepping forward attack will hit me with the top third or the top quarter of their blade, the top 6 to 8 inches where we want to attack with, in my torso. My step back is going to allow that to pass. I'm not doing any special voiding like we did on Tuesday. I'm just letting that blade pass and letting my footwork keep me safe. Right? So, footwork will keep you safe. The problem with that is it doesn't disrupt my opponent's actions. Right? I, as an attacker, have a strategy. I'm going to swing in for a cut. If I miss, I'm going to change directions, step forward, maybe counter cut to the person's high or low line, depending on what I see open at the moment. So I've got a plan. 2 or 3 steps, probably as far as you can ever plan in a sword fight. At least what I've learned, been taught, and experienced. You can do more than that. Good on you. Hey, awesome, right? Give me some spice, and I want to be that enlightened. So. Lost my train of thought. The voiding. Sorry. So I do nothing to disrupt my opponent's pattern. Right? They want to do their techniques. I'm not controlling that space. I'm not controlling that fight. I'm not influencing my opponent's actions. I'm safe. Good. Step 1. I'm safe. Cool. A basic block, right, where I am engaging my opponent's blade in opposition, which means equal and opposite forces hit each other. Right? Stop. Right? Newton's whatever law that is. Somebody can correct me and keep me honest. Right? By doing that, by engaging my opponent's blade with a parry, with a block, right? Not only am I knew I was safe because my footwork kept me safe, but what I'm really doing is disrupting their flow, right? I'm forcing them to change their actions based on what I am doing. So again, you're influencing your opponent. So footwork keeps you safe. The parry is what starts to control the situation, right? So what we're doing here is we're doing a simple retreating, stepping back, parry, striking forward. Now, when you notice when I'm doing my defense, my arms are in, always, right? I'm T-rexing, Right? I always tell you guys, don't T-Rex. The only time you're allowed to T-Rex is when you do an inside middle block, inside low, that's when you can T-Rex. Why? Because if I block too far out, right, there's space. There's all this space and room for my opponent's blade to come right around mine and hit me. Even if you can see in the front, I'm completely covering my body. Everything is to the left, to the inside of my blade. But being so far out, my opponent's blade can just wrap right around that and still hit me. So if I block too far out, or if I go to engage their blade with my arms extended, to use some more official terminology and language, right, I run the risk of not really interrupting their flow at all, and their blade's just going to carry right around that. So I want my defense, want the point of engagement to be as close to my body as it can be. Now, if my blade is up straight, I got things like, I got a big nose, right? It's in front of my blade. I can get hit, right? My mask is going to be there. It can be struck. I want my blade at a bit of an angle, which gives me a nice coverage area, right? Not too flat, because then I only have this much space to protect, and obviously I'm wide open. And again, all about space. I'm wide open. It's a little bit of an angle, and it's close enough where I'm forcing my opponent to commit to their action, right? So we've got the mechanics of I'm stepping back, I'm bringing my blade in, I'm covering everything on the inside of my blade, no part of my body is to the outside of my blade, and I've got a good angle where I've got a good coverage area from low torso up to potentially even over my head, depending on the weapon I have in my hand. Great. Now, what I'll see a lot of people that are just starting out, they will do is this. They'll block like a windshield wiper across their body. Will it work? Sure. Right? But look what happens. If I step back and do a windshield wiper block, yes, I've probably engaged their blade, right? That's the goal. I've kept it off to the side. But what do I want to do next? I want to hit my opponent, right? 3 rules. Don't get hit. Hit them. Don't get hit back. Close the line, right? So those 3 rules. If I block like a windshield wiper, my tip's got to travel from way over there to my opponent's head over here. Not saying it's not possible, but that's a long distance to travel in a sword fight. As opposed to, now my tip's here, and it's got to travel to there. Much quicker, right? So what are we getting out of this? Get your body out of the way first, 1. Get your blade back in, 2, right? Get your tip aligned with your center line, 3, because it will be closer to the line of attack to your opponent, 4. Make sense? Cool. We'll talk about timing on another call as far as how late you block and don't want to block too early and all that kind of stuff, right? We talked a little bit about feints and false attacks. Actually, I think it was like 2 weeks ago now. All that applies to this, right? So again, mechanics, step back, bring your arms in, make sure your body's on the inside of your blade from a protective perspective, and make sure your tip is in alignment with the center line for the next attack. Boom. Right. Cool. For the basic inside middle block, the basic engage my opponent's blade, stop their momentum, change the direction, take control of the situation. Are there defensive actions where I can beat my opponent's blade away? Yes, absolutely. They are beats. We will cover them in a future class. But again, I want you to get this basic defensive action first. Okay, so let's do 2 in a row. Right foot forward, left foot back, middle guard. Step back with the right foot, 1. Step back with the left foot, 2. Step forward with the left foot, counterattack, 3. Bang. Good. Since we did 3 steps, we're going to go the opposite direction now. We're going to do 10 of these on both sides. It's going to be 20 total. We're just going to do them in order simply because we change feet each time. So, back, back, strike. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoops, I stepped back on that one. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oops, did it again. 9. 10. Let's talk about that mistake I just made a couple times there. So I was attacking on the defense. I was attacking on the retreat. So the movement we were doing here was very simple. 2 steps back, a double retreat, and advance back into the position, into the space of your opponent. So my opponent is coming at me. They are throwing multiple attacks. They are 1, 2, or they are 1, 2, staying same side. Really depends on the perspective they're taking, right? But again, odds are they're coming forward and coming forward, right? So I need to shift back and forth from my weight. So inside 1, step back 2. If you notice where the tip of my, I'm not doing this. Keep your tip aligned to the middle of your body like we talked about before. 1, 2. Now, in our action, in our drill, I was stepping forward for the attack. If my opponent's a bull in a china shop and continually advancing, I can step back with that attack too. Or I can step out with that attack, right? So the angle of attack really depends on the intention and the actions of your opponent. Because again, we're trying to compose. I want my opponent to do something. Maybe I want him to keep coming. So my defense will be a little bit farther back to make them reach for that second strike. That'll get their momentum going forward, and now all of a sudden they're in the area where I can capitalize on that, right? If someone wants to run forward, boom, boom, wham. They can run right by, and I'll hit them behind the head as they go past. If I won't hit them behind the head, I'll hit them in the upper back, whatever, lightly and gently, so we know that I was there and they weren't. Cool, awesome. All right, so we'll do that drill a little bit more. Let's do it 5 more times each side, just because I talked a lot in between that one. So right foot forward, left foot back. Step back inside middle block, step forward, cut. 1, step back, 2, step back, 3, step back, 4, step back, 5. Good, switch feet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. All right, cool. Awesome. Okay, let's do our conditioning, mid-class conditioning. That's 20 push-ups, 40 sit-ups. Again, your type, your pace, you can go as, don't go fast, do it slow. Again, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Fast in the beginning kind of doesn't get you anything, right? So I'm going to get this out of the way. I'm going to do knuckles this time. Cool, 20 push-ups, 40 sit-ups. Good. All right. How many are you doing? 20, I hope. But if you can only do 10, do 11. All right. Now, 40 sit-ups. Your type. I'm going to do the crunches that I didn't do earlier. So, go. Good. All right. If you have water, get a drink of water. I don't, so I'm not going to. But if you do, get one. See if I can clip this back on without pulling the cord out again. There we go. All right. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Yep. Coming through. Cool. Let's go through our lesson. Let's talk about a new guard, shoulder guard, right? So I call it shoulder guard. There will be purists. Well, yes, it is, I'm sure, right? Stripping this down to just common language, my blade is at my shoulder height, right? So I call it shoulder guard. So let's start in middle guard like we always do. So right foot forward, left foot back, middle guard. Nice and comfortable. Feet are not in line with each other. I don't think I've talked about this before, but you don't want to walk a slack line, right? You want to have your feet a little bit apart. So when you do that advancing step, you're not going around your foot, right? Your foot is just coming up past. You're not getting in your own way. So middle guard. Step back with our right foot. As I do, all I'm doing is bending my elbow forward. Now, where does my blade land up? Very simple. So again, let me just do that regular. So you're here, right, left foot forward. Raise your elbow. Oh, I'm sorry, bend your arm at the elbow. See where your hand ends up? Some people it's a little higher, some it's a little lower, depends on your body geometries. That's where your saber goes. Bottom hand goes here, right? Look in the side camera. I'm not trying to force it straight. I'm certainly not trying to force it vertical, because then my wrist does this really wonky kind of, right? I'm here, nice and comfortable, right off the shoulder. Bend the arm up, put my blade in my hand, right? If I try to force my blade too straight, my wrist starts to break by bending, right? If I break my wrist, then all of a sudden I lose a lot of power and energy from that. So nice and relaxed. Right, good. All right, shoulder guard. Middle guard, right foot forward, left foot back, middle guard. Step back with our right foot, pull it into shoulder. So again, it's a dynamic position. It is a position of movement. I'm in the middle of a bout. My opponent is trying to engage my blade. I don't want them to. I'm pulling my blade back. Almost like I'm chambering a punch, or I'm cocking back a trigger, right? Pulling my blade back. Now I can start from here. I can get into a match and I can start from here. We'll talk about that in a second. But from a dynamic perspective, I move from middle guard. Maybe they're trying to engage my blade. Maybe I'm trying to draw them in like we talked about on Tuesday. Back into shoulder, right? Here. Now I can do shoulder guard from either side, left foot forward or right foot forward. But again, I still don't try to push that shoulder up on either side. It's nice and relaxed. Here. Right. There are other variations of this. We used to do one where our feet were kind of together and we were up straight, right? Very Japanese haso, kind of here, right? Back was straight, right? What am I doing from here? I'm stepping forward and cutting across. Or I'm stepping forward and up. All the same techniques. The general principle is the same. It really depends on the weapon that you have and the dimensions and the specifications of that weapon and that tool, which will help you dictate how you should be. I always say this in class: if it feels awkward or it feels wrong, it is. Listen to your body. Your body's telling you it's wrong. The only challenge I'll be there is if you know, yeah, I should be this way, I should be here, and it just feels off. Well, force yourself to get comfortable there. Right? Don't try to cheat yourself and come out of the belly button with your stance, right? Because that's not going to gain you. Arms are nice and extended. If it feels like your shoulders are hurting, that's okay. That's muscle growing, right? Step back into shoulder guard. Good. Let's do left side. So left foot forward, right foot back. Either forward middle guard or inside middle guard. Shoulder. Now you can see if I'm in an inside guarded position, that movement is that much more subtle. Just raising that forearm up. My arm really doesn't move from the side of my body in a guarded position. If I'm fully extended, I'm just pulling in my arm, keeping my elbow and shoulder at the same height. Right? Why? Right? So attacks you can throw from this guard. Right? One, this guard is great because it voids the space in front of you. Right? So when I'm in a shoulder guard, I have this front plane of, my body's all pretty much at the same plane of attack, right? All this open space in front of me to either entice my opponent to enter into or to give me more a sense of a security and sense of safety by putting this space between me and my opponent, right? So that the guard is again a very dynamic guard, but it's also a very offensive guard in that I'm not forcing my opponent to move my blade like I am with a middle guard. I'm out into shoulder guard saying, come and get me because I'm going to hit you back or I'm going to hit you first, right? So it's a very offensive position. Let's talk about the most likely attacks, highest probability attacks, the main attacks you can throw from a shoulder guard. So I wanted to talk tonight a lot about the throwing or the forward attacks, right? Most of our attacks in our cuts are rotational attacks, right? Whether they're diagonal rotational, whether they're horizontal rotational attacks, or even when they're downward rotational attacks. And hopefully you can see that where it's coming in an arc, right? The attacks from the shoulders are direct forward, almost linear attacks. Not saying they have to be straight, but they are moving from point A, your shoulder, out to your opponent at that same plane. So I'm traveling a horizontal flat plane to my opponent. I'm pushing my attacks forward. So the most basic attack from there is a stepping forward vertical cut to my opponent's top of their head, side of their head, clavicle, shoulder, right? So their top, what I would call their top, if they're in the same position I am, across from me, their top outside line or high outside line. So from here, this attack, I'm extending my right arm, my lead arm, forward for the strike. Now, if you look at a mirror in yourself when you hit the mirror, your tip will be below your top of your head. So I don't have to lower my hand to try to cut through my opponent. My goal in here is to strike them to the top of the forehead or to the side of the head or to the shoulder, right? So all I need to do is extend my arm forward, drive my arm forward. I can do that in two directions, accompanied by my foot, my back foot. So think of it like a jab cross, but instead of the cross being a static, I'm actually stepping forward for the cross punch, right? So I'm really driving that, almost throwing that attack forward. So we're here, left foot forward, right foot is back, nice stance, equal weight distribution, pushing this forward, stepping into the attack. Do this with me, we'll do it 3 or 4 times. Ready? Go. 1, step back. 2. So pause, sorry. You'll see me take a little quarter step at the end. I don't want to do that in this exercise. I want us to step forward. 1, back foot stays still. Come back. Front foot doesn't move, it's locked in place other than the rotation it makes as I step forward and step back. The rotation I'm fine with. I don't want, see that little half step that I did? That little half retreat, quarter retreat I did? I don't want you to do that. Not now. Think about adding that into your strategy if you've got shorter legs like I do, and you've got to gain that distance away or back or into your opponent. You can add those little steps. But know that if I'm here and I do this first, that's a tell to my opponent. He's going to attack me. Up, bang, they're going to hit me first. So don't give your opponent any tells. Don't give them any advance warning about what you're going to do, right? So left foot is locked on the ground. 5 more. Step forward. 1. Step back. Step forward 2. Back. Step forward 3. Back. Step forward 4. Back. Step forward 5. Good. Back. Good. Notice again, we talked about this a lot of classes, right? My blade is pulling me forward, right? If I step forward and push, and hopefully you really can see the difference, my body is moving into my opponent's space with nothing protecting it, right? I'm not putting anything on my blade in a threat to my opponent, right? I want my blade to pull me into the strike. Boom. Right? There's a point when I do this, there's a point when I get about here, you should feel this, right? Your body wants to go forward. My hips want to turn. Right? So let that tell you this is when I start to shift my weight forward. That's when I know my action is I need to shift my weight to my front leg, step as I'm striking. Good. Return back. 5 more. Same side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Switch sides. Right foot forward, shoulder guard. Great guard because you're coming in at an angle an opponent is not used to. We all fight, well, not everybody, right? We train here. I teach everyone to fight right-handed. Sorry. So we're naturally attacking to our opponent's outside if they're fighting right-handed as well, or to their inside, sorry. So I'm always attacking to my opponent's inside. Defending to the inside is very easy. My hips make that defense, right? Defending to the outside is pretty easy too, but again, most natural and intuitive response is block the inside. Attacking to that outside for a lot of opponents will actually be quite effective. So left shoulder guard, right foot is forward. We're going to step forward, strike, step back 10 times. Ready? Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Back. 5 more. 1. I know I said 10. 2, 3, 4, 5. So what's a really good target? I'm going to face, so I'm here in middle guard, or even if I'm in, I've got this outside arm to my opponent is a great target for this strike. Now we were just stepping very linearly, very much into our opponent. What we're going to do now is start to look stepping off at an angle to our opponent, and then we're going to add a twist to the cut so we can really step off, close the line, and drive into our opponent. And then you have a couple options of thrusting or cutting, and we'll go from there. So what we're going to do now is an angled step out with that attack. So I'm here. My opponent might be coming in at me. I want to step out of the way to, 1, let them through. I'm safe. I've moved out of the way. I also want to capitalize on the new line of attack that I'm creating by hitting my opponent. So last drill we were stepping forward for the attack. Now we're going to step out. And the way I like to show, and I think I mentioned this on a few calls, picture a clock, an old analog clock around your body, right? Stepping forward is stepping toward 12 o'clock. Stepping laterally to the right is stepping toward 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 6 o'clock. You get it, right? So what I want to do is I want to step up and to the right. It's just like our compass rose. If I drew the compass rose that we have in our logo on the floor, I'm stepping up at that angled tangent, that angled whatever, point, right, direction. So northeast, northeast, northeast. That works too. Whatever metaphor works for you, use that one. So instead of stepping forward for the cut, I'm stepping out for the strike. Now, I purposely left my foot where it is. Let's go back. Step out for the strike. What am I doing? I am taking more of a rotational movement of the cut because my body is making that rotational movement, not my arm. I'm not throwing a sidearm pitch, right? Right? I'm still stretching forward. I'm still cutting forward. My arm doesn't change its action. My body puts it on an arc and puts it in an angle to my opponent, right? So I might want to try to get around my opponent. They might be very static. The reason I keep my foot on that center line is if I need to change direction and go to their opposite side, maybe they're really smart and they're baiting me and they're coming in for a block and they're really opening themselves up to close that line, that I can go step around to this side and strike to the opposite side. So I can do that combination of here, here. My foot's already halfway across that path by keeping it where it was. So there's 2 ways you can do this. 1, keep that left foot static. The risk there is if my opponent is a bull and charging forward, this is still in the line of their movement. So be aware of that. You may have to step and close that line. But realize the minute you close that line, the consequence of your action is if I want to go that way, I've got that much longer to step to get over there, and it's much less efficient. So we're going to do both, 5 of each. Stepping out with an angle, keeping our foot in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Back. Now stepping out at the angle, closing the line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hopefully you saw the difference. Very space, very different from a spatial perspective, right? So hopefully that was pretty evident. Let's go right foot forward, left side. So left arm on shoulder guard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Let's now close the back line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Cool. Primary cut, right? Highest probability attack you're going to see thrown at you from a beginner to intermediate type of offenser is the straightforward pushing, forward throwing cut, right? What we just did. Let's add a bit of a twist to that, literally and figuratively speaking, right? So what I can do as I'm throwing this blade out, I'm not really engaging my bottom hand, my back hand. I'm just stepping forward and guiding it into place and keeping it there. What I can actually do is put a twist on that back arm. My hand's in the same spot it was if I'm here, except I use my back arm to kind of rotate that blade through the cut. So I'm going to go really slow here. Watch, we'll do it twice. Watch my top arm, then watch my bottom arm, right? Still pushing forward. I'm still turning it at the end. My bottom arm is now engaging my arm. And what I'm almost doing is I've got two options for this. One, I'm hitting, right, with the cut. I am coming in, pushing at my opponent. Now I can thrust in or be in a position where they can run into the blade. Or I'm cutting up to their flank. Say that maybe they're in a high guard and I want to cut up and under their attack, right? So that little rotational movement, and yes, my top arm moves, but it moves because my bottom arm just takes it. I'm not intentionally forcing my right arm. Again, I think I've said this on one of the videos. Generally speaking, there's always an exception. Generally speaking, my right arm goes forward and back. It's the power of my cut. My left arm, or my backhand for those that are going lefty, right? My backhand is the direction of the cut, the rotations of the cut versus the power or the structure of the cut. There's probably better ways to say that. I'll think of a better way to say it. But know that I don't rotate around my backhand. I rotate and I pivot around my front hand. This is the fulcrum of the lever. We've talked about that. It's a lever. This is the fulcrum point, right? I rotate around it with my backhand. So my front hand throws the direction forward and back, up and down. My backhand does the rotational energy. Maybe that's a good way to look at it, right? Directionally speaking, up, down. Rotationally speaking is the backhand, right? One of my engineer guys out there, keep me honest, right? Got to be saying it. Hopefully I'm saying it right. Anyway, let's do these throwing cuts again. Rotate. It's also a great defensive action, right? We haven't talked about that. I'll do that again. We'll go to the left side and we'll talk a little bit about defense with this. Now again, works great if I'm stepping out. Rotating up. Strike. Same thing, left foot forward. My hands are crossed, so it's a little bit of more of a wonky position, but you do get used to that. Rotate. Let's do 5 linear steps forward with this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let's do 5 angled out steps with the same attack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cool. So I mentioned it. When you're in shoulder guard, defense from shoulder guard, right? When you're here, if someone is coming in to attack you, they're coming in, they have to come into your space because you're not giving them your blade to engage. You're forcing them to come into the space and engage directly to your body. One, the throwing cut can be a great defensive action. What did I do? I extended my arm slightly out to the side for the attack. Instead of coming directly to my opponent's head, right? I close that inside line and strike. That way, if their attack is coming down, it's going to be captured and engage my blade in front of me and not engage my body. So a great defensive action. It's kind of a counter. It's not a counter attack. It's a preparatory. It's an in-tempo attack, right? Same time my opponent is throwing a cut, I'm stepping in and throwing a cut that also protects me. Yes, there's a better name for that. Rock, Eric, give me the better name, right? So the defense isn't a two-tempo defensive action, 1, 2, like we were practicing before. It's a same tempo defensive action with an attack integrated into it. 1. So not only am I protecting my high line from their downward attack that's coming in, because again, if I'm here, kind of giving you my shoulder, my head, it's there, come take it, bang. I'm protecting myself so you engage my blade and not me, but I'm also at the same time counterattacking, countercutting while you're throwing your attack. So it's an in-tempo response, right? I don't care what side you're at. Throwing that up will also, now what you got to be careful about is I'm not doing this with my tip up in the air, because what am I hitting up there? Nothing, right? Just pushing my hands forward and landing my tip to my opponent's head. In the mirror, you should be hitting yourself in the temple, the side of the head, the clavicle area, or yeah, traps in that area, right? So a couple more times. Right foot, left foot forward, right foot back, shoulder guard. Stepping out diagonally, rotational cut, that's a block, counter cut at the same time. Arms are extended, hands are forward. Back. Do it again. Back. Do it again. Back. Do it again. Good. Now my left hand is what really drives my hand up while I'm doing this. Let's do it from the left. Right foot forward, shoulder guard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What I'm trying to do, if you're watching me, you're like, well, he's doing it different almost every time. Yeah, I kind of am. I'm working it at the same time. We're always trying to grow and get better. What I'm trying to do is watch where I'm making the rotation into that cut, right? If I rotate too early, it becomes an ascending cut. I don't want to lose this forward energy. What I want to do is I want to transfer this forward energy to rotational energy to the cut. So that kind of means I got to put the point of rotation a little higher up the blade. Yeah, that sounds weird. It actually feels weird to do. You just got to take practice. So you want to actually think, my rotation is actually happening here as my point of rotation versus here, right? So just be careful, because if you start doing this too quick, what you do is the minute you dip that blade down, you lose that entire intention of the exercise we're trying to do. We're trying to keep the blade in front, do a very linear attack, but at the last minute, rotating into that attack. So my rotation happens almost, try to do this where you can see it in the mirror, right? The rotation happens here and in. Right? So that's why I'm trying to work it as well, because it's not a cut that I find that I throw much. I'd like to, because it's very effective. Others here throw it I've been working on it and throw it quite regularly, so I know how effective it is, because I've been hit with it as well as defended against it. But it's not an attack. It's not a tool in my toolbox that I go to very often. So I'm always working it, right? That being said, right, let's talk for 30 seconds or a few minutes here. Let's talk about what should you be learning, right? Should you try to be the master of all cuts and learn everything and learn it? There are people that there is a personality type that loves to learn every single technique. And maybe they can get good at every single technique. I'm not that person, right? I'm also not the person that learns two things and does those two things, right? So there's two ends of the extreme. There's the person that learns two techniques and that's all they throw. They could be super good. What's the saying? You guys are saying it probably for me right now. Beware the man that practiced one kick 1,000 times, not 1,000 kicks one time. something along those lines, much more eloquently than I just said it, I'm sure. So can you be very effective at knowing 1, 2, 3 techniques? Absolutely, right? But at the same time, I'm not carrying a sword on my hip walking the streets where I've got to defend my life on a daily basis, right? So I don't have to be proficient at just 1 or 2 techniques and do them perfectly well. I want to grow as a person. I want to grow as a martial artist. I want to grow as a fighter and a fencer. So that means I want to continue to push myself. So that means I'm going to try to learn new techniques, because new techniques help me understand my body more. Helps me understand that, ooh, that hip hurts. Why? Oh, it's because I'm doing something. Yeah. So I can kind of figure out how my body moves. So that's why I like to always push myself. Am I going to become super proficient in every technique? Absolutely not. Not in my DNA, right? But I want to always push myself to try to get better. That's one of the things I love that our core tenet of CSA. So before I go there, right? You don't have to try to be perfect at every technique, but learn something from everything you're trying to learn. Make sense? Doesn't mean you have to master everything you're trying to learn. Learn something from it so you can start to master yourself as a fighter and a fencer. Hope that makes sense. Right, and I forget what I was just going to say. Oh yeah, so that's what I love about CSA, right? And if you haven't fought here with us, I hope you do someday. It's an open door. If you're watching this and you want to come fight with us, come in, let me know, and we'll get people here and we will have some fun and great. This area and this mat is a learning environment first and foremost. We have had people come in that have just tried to win here, and we've talked with them and said, it's not that place, right? You need to come out here and lose, because that means you're going to become a better person when you walk off the mat. If you come in here, throw the same technique over and over again, I'm going to say, step off line, let me get my gear on, let's fight, and I want you to try new things. I'm not going to go in and try to kill you. I'm going to try to help you try new things, right? That's what this place is, and that's kind of what I like. We've had a lot of people come here that don't like fencing and don't like to spar, which is like, I love it so much that it's so hard to comprehend. But I know a lot of people that just don't like to spar, because they've been sucked into environments where it was this kill or be killed environment, right? This is not that. That being said, we want to be good. We want to be better. We've had a lot of success as an organization and a school. We're continuing to grow and evolve. And I like that, because we're learning the fundamentals, we're learning the basics, we're building on those, and we're becoming better fighters and better fencers. And quite honestly, it shows, right? So I'm super proud of everybody that's here. Whether you run here for a week before we close down or for 4 or 5 years before we close down, I'm super proud of you guys that you're here and doing this. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. With that, we're at the top of the hour. Let's keep these to an hour. Let's close though we have been in the last 3. Let's do our plank. 1 minute plank. On your forearms or on your arms. It's up to you. I'm going to do on my arms today. I did on my forearms on Tuesday. If anything, you can see a variation, and then kind of gives me a little bit of a variation as well. So 1 minute, y'all can do it. I'm not worried. I know everybody here can do it. So feet up, back nice and straight, and go. Quick reminder, we're going to do a CSA group chat on Sunday night. It's open to anybody. If you're from, somewhere else and you've been watching these videos and you want to see what we're all about and talk to some of us that are here all the time, join. I'm going to put the Zoom link in the invite on the CSA Facebook page, and I want you there, right? If I've never seen you before, I want to see you. I want to say hello, ask questions, talk with everybody. We've got tons of different perspectives, which is great, and I love that about this place. We always joke that if there were 5 of us here teaching, you get a yeah, but yeah, well, try it, and you get and that's awesome because we can learn from that. By the way, 15 more seconds and we've hit a minute. So again, Sunday night. I'm not sure of the time yet. I want to make it so it's convenient for folks. Maybe like 8 p.m. Eastern seems to work. 10 more seconds. We're going to go a little beyond a minute here. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good job. So as far as you went, good job, right? With that, I think we're good. Thank you all very much for joining in. I hope you enjoy these. If you have any questions, any ideas, any concerns, anything you want to see or you're curious about, let me know. We're going to do some podcasts over the next couple weeks with the guys remote. We're going to do probably some equipment, some gear review. We're going to talk about stuff, drink a little bit, whatever. We'll see. So join us there. Thank you all very much, and have a great weekend if we don't talk, and hopefully I see you all on Sunday night. Thanks, folks.